I was intoxicated, so I don't know. All I know is that there was a gun pointed at us, and we were demanded to give money, whether it was to pay for the damages of the poster, whether it was extortion or whether it was a robbery. Like I'm not equipped to.
Except
like,
I want to
tell
point
you
out that Gunner, in his statement to police, said at some point someone who spoke English walked over and offered to help translate this altercation. And he made it clear that the security guard was telling the four of you, you need to pay for that stuff, that damage, before you can leave here, or I'm going to call the police. You understood that at that time, didn't you?
Yeah, so then we had to give the money.
Right, so but at that point it's not a robbery. At that point you're striking a deal. You're striking a deal to pay for what damage you've caused so that he doesn't call the police and this doesn't become a bigger incident. Isn't that fair?
We just wanted to get out of there. We were held, I mean, there was a gun pointed in our direction. We were all frightened.
That's uncomfortable to listen to. Joining me now on the phone from Rio, Christine Brennan, CNN sports analyst. I'm also joined in the studio by Carlos Scot, Vice President of Envision Marketing Incorporated, and an expert in public relations for athletes and celebrities. Christine, let me start with you first. The U.S. interview was actually just part of his apology tour, I guess you could call it. He's also appeared on one of Brazil's biggest television networks. What's been the reaction down there to his apology?
Martin, I think most people are trying to move on from it. Closing ceremonies are in a couple hours. The games are ending. I think the Brazilians are pleased that there has been an apology. Obviously, it was a long time coming. And I think overall for Ryan Lochte, clearly his public relations people did not take a page out of the Michael Phelps apology playbook, because Phelps, of course, has been in trouble a couple of times. Both times, the next day, within 24 hours, he issued a one-paragraph apology taking full blame for everything, the marijuana pipe photo in 2009, and then in 2014, his second DUI, and was suspended by USA Swimming both times, but got it out of the way quickly. This, dragging it on for over a week and still not able to answer some of the questions, I think is just a public relations nightmare for Ryan Lochte.
Carlos, you know, from a public relations professional as you are, I said that interview was uncomfortable. What I meant by that was that it's like, you know what he has to say.
Right.
Just say it and be done with it.
Right.
But he doesn't. So how do you think this has been handled?
I think it's been handled very poorly, first and foremost by Lochte, and as well as whoever his PR representatives are. And I was very surprised to find out that he had to hire someone, considering that he's an Olympic star for several Olympics. You would think that he'd already have a PR, reputable PR representing him.
What should he have done? What would have been the very first step?
I'll piggyback on what Christine Brennan said, and I agree 100%. The next day, he should have, well, first and foremost, he should have never even came up with the lie, because it was, if he doesn't come up and say that, there's no harm, no foul, no one knows about it. But to deal with it from a, coming back from that, he really should have owned up to it first and foremost. Second of all, not blame alcohol or anything, or deflect blame on any of the situation. And it should have been there for those three guys that were left behind. I think those three things, for me as a PR expert, those stick out the biggest.
How bad is the damage here for him?
I'll tell you, it's pretty bad, and pretty much he cost himself millions of dollars. We've had situations, unfortunately, over the past where we've had to successfully navigate clients through media crisis moments, and we were able to, luckily in each time, not only clear their name, but also even get new endorsements. But it's because of how we successfully put together a team, put together strategy, and
well, what's the difference this time? Why do you not see so optimistic?
For one, like Christine said, you know, this has lingered on for over a week, and it's really a tragedy, because you have so many great athletes from all around the country, all around the world, who won Olympic gold medals for their countries as well as our country, and the biggest stories all this week has been Ryan Lochte.
Right.
I really feel bad. We even had clients that won medals, and unfortunately their stories kind of got minimalized because the media wanted to
That
focus on it.
And that adds, you say, to the anger against.
Oh
them.
yeah, it does.
Let me. I want to bring up something else, Christine, before we lose you, and I know time is short. These 9 Australians, these are athletes that are being forced to pay, I think, $3,000 each in fines before the authorities will allow them to leave the country. And what are they accused of doing? What's the latest on this?
You know, Martin, I have actually not followed that story as closely. I believe there was something with their IDs. I believe that they made fake IDs, and you know, I think the bigger issue here is that we're talking about young athletes, and things are going to happen. And you want to minimize it. I think Carlos has been saying that. It's the Australian Olympic Committee, the U.S. Olympic Committee. You're bringing hundreds of young people into a community, into this crucible of international intrigue, and everyone's watching at the world stage. You're going to have a few things happen. It's how you handle it. Yeah. And the Australian thing is interesting. Of course, there's always going to be something, but I think the Lochte thing stands out only because of just how long it went on and what an embarrassment it was for the U.S., especially the U.S. being the big cheese at the Olympic Games, where everyone focuses on what the U.S. does, and the U.S. Olympic Committee likes to have things be very low-key. It's one of only 2 Olympic committees that does not allow flags or banners on the dorms at the Olympic Village, and it's U.S. and Israel, of course, for security reasons, but also to have a lower profile. And then this happens. So the Australians are dealing with something, U.S. dealing with something. It's going to happen, but the last thing the U.S. wants, Martin, is to have something explode like this one exploded over the last week of the Games.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Christine Brennan, I have all respect for your work. Thank you very much. Carlos Scott, thanks for joining me. I hope I would never need you, but it's good to know you're there. Thank you very much.
All right.
Next.